realize you could be in many other places in Reno. So welcome to the world's largest, biggest little city, they say. So welcome to Reno. I'm here from Las Vegas, which is where I live, and I have very limited experience with Reno. However, my son, who just turned 18, just started at UNR in August. So I'm up here more now, and I'm getting to learn this great city. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this session, and we'll jump in and get started. So I'm Shelley Woodrow, and I am a certified EOS implementer, which just means I work with other business owners and leaders and help them get more of what they want from their business by helping them run on EOS, by helping them with a simple set of practical tools, a holistic system and framework that helps you get more of the right stuff done in business. EOS is about helping you improve execution in your business. It's about mobilizing and managing human energy in one direction so you're all rowing in the same boat, in the same direction, and helping you get more of the right stuff done so that you get a grip on your business, so that you get more of what you want for your business. So just a little backstory about me and how I got here. I have been an EOS implementer since February of 2019. And so I've worked with clients helping them implement this system since then. In 2025, or 2022 rather, it is 2025, 2022, I joined the coaching team for EOS Worldwide. And so this setup for me helps me realize two passions that I have. The first is that I love helping business owners succeed and thrive and run their best business. The second is I love working with leaders, especially emerging leaders, helping them grow and develop such that they can replace themselves. So in my experience, that's led me here, and I just get really excited about sharing EOS anytime, anywhere, on any stage, one-on-one or as a keynote speaker. So thank you for being here. I want to help you find value today in the time we spend together. So I want to run this a little bit like a workshop so you get some experience with what I'm going to share with you today. So everyone has a workbook, and if you don't have one, raise your hand, I'll get you one. But this workbook includes a set of tools that I'm going to walk you through and teach you today while we're in the session. And I'm going to hope that you'll participate with me and engage in the session and help just play with the tools so you see if there's value for you. Does that sound good? Everybody willing to do that? All right. So let's jump in. I want to say, again, thank you to Chad for having me. When he called and invited me, I'm like, why is EOS important to this group? What do you hope to achieve? And he described some of that. And Chad's my panelist of one, so he runs on EOS, so he might be able to answer some of your questions as we go through this from a different perspective than how I would answer them. So he's my panel of one. I want to introduce you to your workbook. So if you open it up, you'll see the EOS model on page 1. I'm going to get into that in a few minutes. But to the left of the model, there's a notes page. And so what I'd ask you to think about, because we'll come back to this through our time together, is when you think of next year, 2026, and you think about your business, what is one thing, one goal that you would like to achieve next year? Maybe you want to do or have something in your business that you don't have today. Maybe you need to solve something. Maybe you have a merger or acquisition you might have to deal with next year. What's one big goal that you have for your business for next year, regardless of the seat that you set in your company? One big goal for next year. So if you would take a moment and just write that goal on the notes page. What's one big thing you're not getting from your business today that you want to do, or have next year? It's one thing you want to achieve next year. You can write that in the notes section right behind the cover page. All right, let's get started. So I have a couple of objectives for our time together, but I also want to make sure they meet your needs. So the first is to help you understand EOS and know that this is a business operating system, and there are a lot of tools out there that are available to you. In my past life, I was in media for 27 years. I ran ad sales for Cox Communications in Nevada and California. And as a leader at the helm, running big teams, overseeing an $80 million P&L, I wish I had known or had some tools like these, particularly when it comes to meetings and interacting with my team. Because now I look back, and now that I know that these tools exist, I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I owe my previous teams an apology because those meetings were non-productive. They were news and weather reporting type meetings, and they just were not effective. So that's just one example. But I want to make sure you know what's out there for you, because there is help along the way if you want it. So that's first objective. Second objective is to help you learn some practical tools. So I'm going to show you 12 tools today in our time together, and we won't have time for you to learn all of them, but I think high level, my goal is just to have you understand what each tool is designed for, and we'll play with some of them together in our time together. I also want to answer all your questions around EOS. All right, here we go. So here's our agenda we'll cover. So I'm going to share with you the backstory of EOS, how this whole thing started and how we got to where we are today. I will share with you the EOS model, which is a discovery that's been life-changing for business owners. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. And then we'll dive into the tools. So I'll go through the tools. We'll hit some of them a little deeper than others, but you'll have an idea afterwards of everything that's in your workbook that you can take away today. And by the way, my name and contact info is on the back. So after today, if you have questions, if things come up and you are wondering about something, feel free to reach out. Then we'll move to next steps, and I'll answer all of your questions before we get out of here today. Sound good? All right. So everything I'm going to share with you today is based on a lifelong entrepreneur. Gino Wickman wrote the book Traction and created EOS worldwide, and he's been an entrepreneur since he was 21 years old. At age 25, he was called in to run his family business, found it was in need of a turnaround, and worked with the leaders for about 7 years to turn that business around. During the same time, he became one of 10 original members of the Detroit EO chapter. You guys know Entrepreneurs Organization? He became one of those founding members, and in working with the other members of that chapter, he just found that he had a real knack and passion for the art and science of running a truly great entrepreneurial company. So when he retired from his company, he decided to chase that knack and passion full time. When he did that, he began cobbling together what we know today is EOS, which is just a simple set of practical tools, a holistic system and framework that's designed to help you get more of the right stuff done in your business, to improve execution. So there's not one silver bullet or any magic pills in anything that I'm going to share with you today. Everything I'm going to share is tried, true, tested. There's not 1 ounce of theory in any of this work. So since Gino began creating EOS, he and I and now another 872 EOS implementers around the world have conducted more than 300,000 full-day sessions with the leaders of more than 30,000 organizations. And what we do when we work with you is we help make you better at 3 things we call vision, traction, healthy. Vision from the standpoint of first getting you and your leaders all on the same page as to where you're going and how you plan to get there. Traction from the standpoint of instilling discipline and focus and accountability. So no matter where you look in your business, you see people executing on your business. And healthy just means making you a more cohesive, open, honest, fun-loving team, because we find that's not always the case. So we want to help you with that. So vision, traction, healthy. The kinds of organizations we work with are entrepreneurial. Most are privately held. The leadership teams are open-minded. They want more than they're getting today. They feel frustrated. They might be stuck. They want help. They are willing to be open, honest, and vulnerable with themselves and the people around them. And they're more afraid of the status quo than they are of change. So those are the types of companies we work with. When they come to EOS. So when companies say, oh, I want some help, I want to look at EOS, they tend to be frustrated. How many of you have frustrations in your business? If you would raise your hand. What are some of those frustrations for you? What frustrates you about your day-to-day, about running your company? Anybody? Just shout them out. Stuart.
Equipment breaking.
Equipment breaking. Product issues, right? What else? Time management. Any others? Communication, or lack thereof, right? Okay, so here are the 5 most common that we hear, so you might resonate with some of these. The first is that there's this feeling that you're losing control, that the business is running you rather than the other way around. So we want to help you get a grip on your business. That's the name of our time together here, our session. The second is profit or lack thereof. You mentioned this in the front row here. You want more profit. That's very common. That you might be hitting your top line revenue goals, but you're not making the money you want to make or any profit in some cases. People, far and away, is the #1 issue. So 82% of clients that come to EOS and start running on EOS have some sort of people issues. Did you have people issues when you started running on EOS, Chad? It's very common. Hitting the ceiling. So this is that feeling that your business is humming along, you're doing well, everything's great, your growth trajectory is where you want it, and bam, you hit a ceiling. You get stuck. And you don't know how to break through it. And the 5th most common is nothing's working. So this is the idea that you're putting in the time, you're working really hard, you're putting in the effort, you might be reading all the books and trying all the things, but nothing's working. So these are very typical. In addition to what you said, these are some of the frustrations that Gino found when he was working with companies creating EOS, that EOS address. It addresses these. So let me show you how and what he discovered. Starting with the EOS model. So that's on page 1. You have it there. The importance of the EOS model is it puts the client's business at the center of it. And what Gino discovered over the years as he was creating EOS is there are 6 key components to your business, to any business. That's discovery #1. And discovery #2 is to the extent that you can strengthen each of those 6 key components, you're running a really great business and you're going to get more of the things you want from your business. You're going to get some of those goals that you wrote down earlier. So let me introduce the model to you high level, and then we'll dig into the tools. So first key component is vision. This is about getting everyone in your entire company rowing together, going the same place, determining your vision and plan. The people component is about getting you all the right people in the right seats. You've got to have both. What's true here is that every organization defines right people differently. So in this process, we define and discover what is your definition of right people for your unique business. And so that's important to get all the right people, your definition of right people, in the right seats. You want to have both here. The data component is about running your business on objective information, on data, on real numbers, versus opinions, feelings, egos that sometimes drive decision-making in entrepreneurial companies. And we know when your vision, people, and data components are strong, you're going to have issues, which brings us to our 4th key component. The issues component is about getting really great at setting your issues up as they arise, knocking them down, and making them go away forever. So you're solving your issues on a regular basis. The process component, or process if you're from the north, but I say process, Michigan girl originally, process. Process component is about systemizing your business. It's about creating efficiency, scalability, making your business easier to manage, making it more fun and more profitable. And finally, traction. The traction component is about execution. It's about instilling discipline and accountability, so no matter where you look, you see people executing on that vision in the traction component. Gino says, and it's so true, vision without traction is hallucination. That's why vision's at the top of the model and traction's at the bottom, because truly, if you cannot bring that vision down to the ground and execute on it day in and day out, you might be hallucinating. So vision without traction is hallucination. So we measure progress along the way. So we're working towards getting each of the 6 key components to 80% strong or better. We measure it on a scale from 0 to 100%, knowing 100% is utopia. It's never going to happen. Business changes all the time. So we're shooting for 80% strong in each of the 6 key components, knowing that many businesses are about 20% strong in each of the 6 key components, succeeding in spite of themselves. So we go on a journey in EOS, whether you self-implement or work with an implementer, to strengthen each of the 6 key components by using 2 tools and disciplines. And so that's what I want to walk you through next, is the 2 tools and disciplines that strengthen each of the 6 key components. I'm going to spend the most time on vision and people, but I'm going to involve you here in a few minutes. So if you turn in your workbook to page 2 and 3, you see the first tool I'm going to introduce to you is called our Vision Traction Organizer, or VTO for short. This is a really powerful tool. This is how we do strategic planning in EOS. So we answer 8 simple questions together, starting at the leadership team level. And when the leaders have answered those 8 questions and are in 100% agreement to every word on that Vision Traction Organizer, you're then ready to take that set of answers to your organization and share your vision with your entire company. So we start by answering 8 simple questions. I'm going to walk you through them one at a time, and that's the first discipline, is answering 8 questions. We put the answers in this tool, the Vision Traction Organizer. So the 8 questions consist of 5 on the vision side of the VTO. So notice in the orange, those are the 8 questions, and we'll put the 5 answers there in each of those areas. And then on the traction side, this is how we make that vision happen. There are 3 additional questions there. So we work with you to help you identify the answers to these 8 questions. So let's hit them one at a time. Okay, so core values are defined and discovered. So we want to bring core values in your business to life and really discover what are right people, what are the definitions of right people for you. So what are the characteristics, the traits, the attributes that you want your people to consistently be able to exhibit that ultimately then define your culture. So what are they for you? So we define and discover those. And when you nail your 3 to 7 core values, you're going to attract great people, people that fit those core values to your business, and you're going to repel people that aren't a great fit. And that's when you know you've nailed them. If they're useful for you, if they're attracting people that you want to surround yourself with, that you love, that fit your organization like a glove, those are great people that fit your core values. If people are turned off by your core values, they're not for you, and you're not for them, and it's okay. You just want to find the people that are right fit for you and your unique business. When we are clear on what they are and what you mean by each of those core values, then you can use them to attract talent, onboard, hire, reward, recognize, coach, and even fire people when your core values are clear. Question number 2 is, what is your core focus? This is your core business. So core values define who you are. Core focus defines what you are as a business. So this is typically, you'll hear this referred to in some organizations as mission statement, vision statement, hedgehog concept. We just call it core focus because what's important here is you stay in your lane. You stay true to who you are based on why you exist and what you love to do and are driven to be best in the world at. So we answer 2 simple questions here that define your core focus. Why do you exist? What is your purpose, cause, or passion as a company, as an organization, as a business? Why do you exist? And the second question is your niche. What do you do? What do you do in your business? And what are you driven to be best in the world at when you do it? So why do you exist? And what do you love to do and are best at? When you answer those 2 questions, this core focus then defines your sweet spot, and it becomes a decision-making mechanism internally that helps you vet opportunities through the lens of your core focus so that you stay in your lane, so that you maximize all opportunity within your core business before you have to go outside of that. So that's core focus. Our clients sometimes get distracted by shiny stuff, and so come back to your core focus, and then you can vet what you're considering doing through the lens of your core focus. And this is intended for your employees, by the way. So this is for your people to understand why you exist, what you love to do and are best at, and let's maximize all opportunity in the market here first. Make sense?
And I think
Go
in
ahead.
our industry too, I mean, there's a lot of diversity here, you know, between contract cleaning and the different disciplines you have there. You know, dealers and distributors, and say the different customer bases you may serve. You know, as we went through and kind of did this, I mean, it is a very simple top-level concept. Our purpose, cause, passion statement is we want to wow our customers. I mean, just something very top-level from there, and then differentiating down into it. You know, for example, for us, it's our niche is we are fleet and industrial cleaning solutions. And then, as Shelley mentioned, there's a lot of things you can subcategory off, but I'd say if you pick really, you know, where your purpose, where your excellence, where you know, really specialize in, then pick those different things to branch off. Sometimes the shiny things do come along and they do become a part of it, but at the end of it, if you still have that kind of as your North Star to come back to, I think it's extremely valuable.
All right. 10-year target is next, so we know who we are with core values, what you are as a business with core focus. 10-year target says, where are you going long term? What's the big, number one, overarching goal that you want to achieve 10 years out? The time frame here is flexible, could be 5 to 30 years, so you decide the time frame. Most of our clients like 10 years out because it considers 10-year business cycles, but you choose. It's the big one thing. It's the one thing that you want from your business. Consider it your North Star. It's your rally cry. It's where you're going. So when you get clear on that, that can be quantitative or it could be qualitative. It could be numeric or not. So don't worry about whether it is or it isn't. What's important here is that you put what you want to achieve in the target itself and put the time frame. So the year by which you'll achieve that thing. So if it's 10 years from now, it's 2035. So by 2035, you're going to be, do, or have X. So you just want to put the year in there so you remind yourself, when did we start this, and are we tracking to get to our 10-year target? All right, that's where we're going. Marketing strategy is how you get there. So marketing strategy says, let's consider who is our ideal target market prospect. So these are the types of companies or people that you should be laser focused on targeting and marketing to. And when that's clear, the other three parts of the marketing strategy, the other three aspects are the message that would resonate most with that ideal target market. So we consider ideal target market from a demographic point of view. Who are they, what size, etc. From a geographic point of view, where are they? Where do we want to look for them? And from a psychographic point of view, which just says, how do they think? What do they value? What's important to them? And so when you're clear on your ideal target prospect, then you're ready to message to that ideal target market. So 3 uniques are 3 things that taken in combination make you unique, better, and a lot more skilled probably than your competitors. Proven process is a visual guarantee or visual depiction of how you take care of your ideal target market customers or clients from the time they start doing business with you to the time that they're long-term valued business partners of yours. And a guarantee is just a pledge or a promise that reduces the fear of adoption when it's time to make a buying decision for that target market prospect. So those are the 4 aspects of the marketing strategy. So when you're clear on those, you know who you are with core values, what you are as a business with core focus, where you're going long-term with 10-year target, how you're going to get there in the marketing strategy, and then we bring it down to the ground and start to make it real with your 3-year picture. painting a picture of what your company now needs to look like then 3 short years out. So we're sitting here in the back half of, or back almost quarter next week of 2025. So where do you need to be 3 years from now towards the end of 2028? What's your revenue? What's profit? What are your measurables? You see the question up here, what does it look like? You work with your team to paint a picture of the company that you want to manifest. What do we want to be, do, and have? And you align on 5 to 15 bullets that starts to get you all to see the same vision, the same 3-year picture. That does 2 great things for you when those are clear. The first is the extent that you will achieve that 3-year picture goes up exponentially. Not to get all kumbaya on you here, but I see this time and time again. You paint your 3-year picture, you write everything down on paper that you all like and agree to, and you achieve that much faster than 3 years. So I see that a lot. And then the second thing is it sets you up for really great 1-year planning. So then you can bring that 3-year picture down to your 1-year plan and really focus and prioritize what has to happen then in 2026, what has to happen by the end of next year, what's revenue, what's profit, what are our measurables, and then we all have you set 3 to 7 aligned goals for the year. So if you are participating with me, you just wrote down one in your notes at the beginning of our time together. So if you would please, you can go ahead and write that goal in your number 1 slot on your VTO. Under 1-year plan, that first goal, you've already done some work on. So you can just carry that over into your VTO. The other couple things to think about here is we set 3 to 7 aligned goals, not 23, 35. 3 to 7 is the rule of thumb, because when everything is important, nothing's important. So you want to really get clear about what are the 3 to 7. Do less better. Remember, less is more. When you set those 3 to 7 goals, it also defines what you're saying no to, essentially. So you want to get really clear on what are your 3 to 7 priorities for next year. When you have your plan for 26, now you can chunk that down into quarterly priorities we call rocks. So what does revenue, profit, measurables look like over the next 90 days? And you set 3 to 7 aligned company rocks for the next quarter, those big priorities for the business, and 3 to 7 for each leader on the leadership team. Ultimately, you can share that discipline with your whole organization. What that does is creates a 90-day world where you're advancing forward towards that 10-year target. Every 90 days, you're figuring out how you're going to achieve your 1-year plan, your 3-year picture, and your 10-year target. This is partly where the magic happens, is creating a 90-day world forever, in perpetuity, forever. Do that. And then, you will have issues when you do this work. So as you flesh out your VTO, you're going to have issues, and we just have you keep an issues list. So this is a parking lot to say, hey, these are the things we know about we're going to have to contend with, maybe this quarter, maybe next year, but these are the things long-term that we don't have to address today, but we know we're going to have to address at some point. They can also be opportunities. So these are not just challenges, obstacles, or problems. These could be opportunities. So there might be some big thing that you're considering next year. As an example, put that on your issues list because it'll just remind you that at some point you want to prioritize it and deal with it. Make sense?
When I hear issues, it usually has a negative connotation. Would you say all issues have to be negative things?
Not at all.
Problems?
Not at all. So these are opportunities. These are challenges. These are things we know about, and we encourage you, and I'll get to this in a minute, to celebrate when your people bring you issues. You want to create a culture where it's welcome to bring problems, challenges, and obstacles so that all of the things you need to contend with get on an issues list somewhere in your business. All right, when you've answered the 8 questions on the VTO and you agree 100% to the answers to those 8 questions, that's important, then you want to take it to your company, take it to the business, and do a quarterly state of the company meeting where you share your VTO every quarter, quarter in and quarter out. Share with your people your vision and plan so they can row with you in the same direction. It allows them to ask questions about where you're going, how you plan to get there. It allows them to internalize it. It allows them to hopefully want to be a part of it, and if they don't, that they might be not the right person or in the right seats. But it's important for you to share your vision and plan with your entire organization so everybody knows where we're going and how we plan to get there, because most times they want to help you get there. So sharing it every quarter will get you buy-in across the board. So using those tools and disciplines, everyone, gets you to 100% strong in the vision component. That's how we strengthen the vision component. Moving to people, the people component is about two things. It's about right people in the right seats. You've got to have both. You may have heard those terms popularized by Jim Collins in his book, Good to Great. Super important to have right people in the right seats. So right people are the people that fit your core values. You love them. You want to surround yourself with them. If you had 100 of them, you could take your business to the moon. Whatever you describe as right people, you want to find folks like them. The tool we use to help you do that is something we call the People Analyzer. So if you turn to page 4 and 5, you'll see an example of the People Analyzer. And so I want to teach you this tool and help you use it right now. So here's how we use the People Analyzer. You see the examples of core values on page 4. Many of you have done this work. So if you have core values in your business, you can write your core values across the top. These 5 core values are examples of the EOS Worldwide and my core values. And so they are humbly confident, grow or die, help first, do the right thing, do what you say. So if you have your own core values, you can write those across the top. If you don't have core values, if you haven't done this work yet, take a moment and look at the examples. These are real-world core values on page 4. Take a look at those and pick 3 and write those 3 across the top, because I'm going to teach you how to people analyze yourself and your employees. So pick 3 core values that jump out at you. You're not obligated to stick with these. These are just for learning purposes here. Then put your name in the first slot. So put your name there. We want to people analyze you. And then pick another couple names of people in your business. So you want 3 names there. If you don't have 3 employees, don't worry about it. Just think about somebody else you might have worked with in the past. So 3 names here, yours on top, and then 2 others. So here's the rating system I want to teach you. If you exhibit the core value most of the time, not 100% of the time, we're not looking for perfection. If you exhibit it most of the time, you can give yourself and others a plus in the core value. If most of the time you don't exhibit it, most of the time you don't, you get a minus in the core value. If sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, you get a plus minus. And you want to do this for each of your core values for each person. So plus most of the time you do, minus most of the time you don't, and plus minus sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. So take a moment. People analyze yourself as well as your other 2 employees. And so this becomes a really great coaching tool if you have somebody that is not at or above your bar, which I'll mention in just a moment. You can use this to coach, to help coach them up. It's also a great hiring tool. So if you are searching for candidates and you're in the interview phase and you've nailed it down to a couple, 2 or 3 people that you're considering, you can people analyze each of them based on their interview, based on targeting interview questions to your core values to flesh out examples of where they've been able to exhibit those core values. So it becomes a really powerful hiring tool as well as a coaching tool. Helps you see and helps your employees see whether or not they fit your core values. All right, the bar just looks like this. You want to set a minimum acceptable standard for your business. And it's your business, you get to pick your minimum acceptable standard. You have to set a high enough bar that you ensure you get right people, but you don't want it so high that you can't find talent. So for 5 core values up here, the recommendation is 3 pluses, 2 plus minuses in any combination. For 3 core values, it's 2 pluses, 1 plus minus in any combination. If you have 4 or 6, you just decide, do I want 50-50? For me, that might not set a high enough bar, but it's your business. So it might be, if you have 4, it might be 3 and 1, 3 pluses, 1 plus minus. Or you could decide, hey, I've got a tough labor market, it's going to be 2 and 2, 2 pluses, 2 plus minuses. So you just decide what your minimum acceptable standard is, and now you've got a tool that helps you get the right people, establish conversations with them to help coach them up so that they are right people. It helps you hire right people as well. Right seats are people that are great at their jobs. So these are your superstars. They're the high performers. They are great at their jobs. They have the acquired skills, the experience, the skills, the abilities to be, and the desire to be great at the job. So to find right seats, we use something called the accountability chart, which is a tool which causes us to take a big step back and look forward. So we take a structure first, people second approach to defining the seats on your bus, the major functions on your bus that you want to hire for. So here's how it works. The accountability chart works like this. There are 3 basic major functions of every business. So there's a marketing and sales function for how you go out into the market, create demand, turn that demand into orders or clients. There's an operations function, 2, 3, occasionally even 4 ways you deliver your products and services to your people, your customers. And a finance function for how you move money in and out of the business, manage and control assets, that kind of thing. 3 basic major functions to every business. But we want to customize this. These are leadership team seats here. We want to customize the major functions for your unique business, because sometimes marketing and sales may break into 2 distinct separate functions. Operations, the way you take care of your products and services and deliver to your customers, might be 1, 2, 3, sometimes even 4 different ways. And finance might break into HR or IT, some other major function. So we customize at this level, get it right for you, the right 3 to 7 for your unique business. And then there's always an integrator. So the integrator is the leader that runs the day-to-day. This is the person in your organization that beats the drum, that drives accountability, that harmoniously orchestrates, integrates, and oversees all those moving parts. So they are your leader that is very comfortable having tough conversations, driving the business, being accountable, usually your P&L owner as well. Not always, but usually. So the second way we customize the accountability chart at the leadership team level is we decide if you're one of the organizations that also has a visionary. A visionary is a high-level leader, typically the founder or the visionary currently of the business, but this is the person on the leadership team that likes to look into the future. They like to stay high level, 30,000 feet. They hate getting in the trenches. They usually manage big relationships. They are your creative problem solvers. It's super important to call it out if you also have a visionary, because if a visionary is trapped in your integrator seat, they're going to drive you crazy and cause chaos in your business, because their mind works in a way where they've got 20 ideas all the time, and as the potential owner of the business, they might be spitballing ideas, and your people think that they mean to go, you guys are laughing, right? So does this resonate? They may go try to implement all those things that they hear, and the visionary is just ideating, and they think, okay, that's a directive. So they can cause chaos. So you just want to crystallize the role of the visionary in the business and the role of the integrator and separate those so people know who to go to for what. Does that make sense? That's the basic accountability chart. So here's how it works. You decide what is the seat, what's the function we need to hire for. What are the 5 accountabilities or roles in that seat? What is that seat owner going to be accountable to keep on track for you? Then, after you've done that, then you're ready to put names in seats. So we picked the 5 roles, we've got our seat, and now I'm going to teach you GWC. So if you turn to GWC in your workbook, you see it there. So GWC says, all right, we have a job that we're going to hire for. I'm from Las Vegas, so we have the Vegas Golden Knights in Las Vegas. So say I'm the owner just for a minute. Who's a fan? Okay. So I'm the owner of the Vegas Golden Knights, so I'm going to hire a center. These are the 5 things that I want my center to do on the team. And so now I've got to make sure that that center gets it, wants it, and has the capacity to do the job well. So gets it is that this center is genetically encoded. They're hardwired. They get that role of the center on the hockey team. It's in their DNA. They just get it. Wants it means I don't have to overpay them. They might want it so much that they would do that work for free. Not that they would, but they might like it enough to do that work for free. So wants it is about they want to do that work for you in your business. You don't have to overpay them or kick them in the butt, etc. Capacity to do it is the acquired skills. So this center has to know how to play hockey, right? They've learned that along the way. They have the skills, the abilities, and the desire to be great at that center job. So we come back to the people analyzer then, and this makes this tool really powerful. So now we can add GWC across the top of our people analyzer. And so we've already rated our folks as to whether or not they consistently can exhibit our core values. And now we can say, now let's rate them on do they GWC the 5 accountabilities for our hockey center. And GWC, the bar for GWC is yes, yes, yes. You have to have 3 yeses to put somebody in the seat, non-negotiable. So 3 yeses to GWC, so you get the right seat. All right? So if we notice here, if we're using this as a hiring tool for our center, Maria, in this case, fits our bar for core values. She's at or above our 3 pluses, 2 plus minuses, and she GWCs the seat. So Maria, in this example, wins the job. That make sense? Really powerful tool. All right, so when you use these tools and disciplines for the people component, you've figured out the leadership team level, then you're ready to take GWC and creating seats in the accountability chart to the rest of your organization so that you create an accountability chart for your entire business. All your people have a seat on your accountability chart. You crystallize every role or accountability so they know you're setting clear expectations of what they're accountable for, what you want them to do. Okay? And then you put names and seats once you've created your accountability chart, taking a structure first, people second approach. The other thing is with the accountability chart, when you create it, you want to consider this is what we want for the next 6 to 12 months. It may look different than how we're doing it today, but you're creating your accountability chart for the next 6 to 12 months, and then you look at it constantly forever and iterate on it as you add seats, maybe take seats off your bus, etc. Any questions on people so far? When you use the, oh yes, Stuart.
Sorry, back to the people analyzing. You did a plus and a minus?
Yep, let me go back. So plus means most of the time they exhibit the core value. Minus means most of the time they don't exhibit the core value. And then plus minus here just means sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
You talked about the bar, you said it,
Yep.
2 pluses, 1 plus minus.
For 3.
As an example, but here you're saying they have to all be yeses.
Yes, on the seat, yeah.
For the seat. So
Yeah.
there's not a conflict with that? That's
No,
hiring somebody or moving somebody to a different seat or?
both. So you want to make sure you create a structure, with the function you want on your bus, the 5 accountabilities within that seat, and then you want to make sure that the person you're considering putting in that seat GWCs each of those 5 accountabilities. So because it's high level and because that's an important seat, it's on your bus and you've got those accountabilities defined, you want to make sure that they can drive accountability for each of those. So that's why we say 3 yeses non-negotiable. They may not even do the work in some cases. In our center example, they would do the work, obviously, but sometimes they just have to oversee it. Maybe at the leadership team level, somebody's going to oversee budgeting and forecasting, but they may not be the person that actually does it. It depends on the client, but yes, sometimes they want everybody in the business to to people analyze themselves, which includes GWC. And a lot of times that happens every quarterly. We do quarterly conversations in this process, leaders with their direct reports. And it's a great way for the direct report to bring to the quarterly conversation their assessment of the people analyzer. And then the leader also does it, and it sets the foundation for a great conversation. You will experience 2 distinct types of people issues when you follow this process and use these tools. So the first is that you have the right person, somebody you love, they fit your culture like a glove, they're just in the wrong seat. And that's your example, yeah? You moved them to a right seat. And the other is when you have the wrong person in the right seat. So these are hard to deal with sometimes too, because you've got your performers and you love their performance, but they may be hurting your culture. They could not be a core value fit. They might be chipping away at it in ways you don't even see. They could kill your culture long term. So if either one of these issues are present in your business, you want to make the tough calls, make the decisions to right-size that so you get all your people to be right people in the right seats.
But if you have the wrong person in the right seat, what would you suggest to pretty much change their attitude or?
Yeah, do the people analyzer with them, share with them the results. Sometimes they're surprised by your ratings, the results, and it raises awareness. So they can either choose to level up, meet your expectations, because now you can set them very clearly, or they move out. They sometimes move out of the business. If it's a wrong seat person, usually they're not going to turn things around unless they're coachable. If you can coach them up, great, but you got to, in for-profit organizations, you've got to make the tough calls, right? All right, I'm going to keep us moving, everybody. We've got about 20 minutes left, and I want to make sure we get through your questions. The data component is about numbers. It's about objective information. It's about running your business on data, and that data can become actionable. And so the first tool we use to strengthen the data component is the scorecard. I love this quote. If we have data, everyone, let's look at the data. If all we have are opinions, then let's go with mine. So this is from Jim Barksdale, former Netscape CEO. So we want to use data to inform, to drive our decisions, and to help us understand the health of the business. So here's how it works. We create a leadership team scorecard for you. So you have a scorecard in your workbook, and here's what it looks like. We determine what are the 5 to 15 weekly activity-based measurables or numbers that you want to keep on track every week. These are numbers that tell you if your business is on or off track. If you were on an island and all these numbers were off track, you'd probably have to come home and deal with them, because this tells you if your business is on or off track. If everything was going well, you're hitting your weekly activity-based goals, you get to stay another week on the island. So you determine what are your 5 to 15 weekly activity-based numbers, set a goal for each, and then determine who is accountable, who drives accountability for each of those numbers. So you set your weekly goal, you determine who drives accountability for each number, and then notice that the scorecard it captures 13 weeks at a glance. So when you put your actuals in each week, you've got 13 weeks of data that starts to determine whether or not, it'll show you whether or not your business is veering off track as trends and patterns develop. Hopefully you can catch it in time, that's the idea here, to turn things around so you end where you want to end at the end of each quarter. So this is 13 weeks at a glance. We do this at the leadership team level, and here are some measurable examples of the things that are weekly activity-based. And I want to give you a minute to populate 3 of these in your scorecard. So these are examples. You have far more examples in your workbook. So what are you not measuring today that if you did measure it and you set goals around it each week, what would those 3 numbers be for you that might make a difference in your business? Know that the scorecard is a great way for you to check in on your business week in and week out, every week when you get together to work on your business. So pick 3 and try this on for size in your business. So as homework, set a goal and measure it over the next 13 weeks and see what happens when you pick weekly activity-based goals that will tell you whether your business is on or off track. When you do this at the leadership team level, you can then cascade this discipline down into departments throughout the business as well. Over time, the second discipline here in the data component is that everybody in your business gets a number, at least one activity-based number that they're accountable for keeping on track for you, week in and week out. And the reason that's important is it allows your people to feel like they're helping you, they're participating in helping you achieve your vision and plan. So everybody gets a number over time. When your vision people and data components are strong, I mentioned you will have issues, and we celebrate that. Acknowledge your people when they bring issues, challenges, or opportunities to you. Get them on an issues list. That's the first discipline here, is keeping an issues list. And when you're ready, you can address what's on your issues list. So that's discipline number 1, is keeping an issues list. Discipline number 2 is how we solve issues. That is called our issue solving track, or IDS for short. So you have the explanation of the issue solving track and how it works in your workbook. So I'll hit it high level. So you come together every week and you have time to work on your business. More on that in a second. You have your issues list. You prioritize your top 3 most important issues that you have to solve this week. And then you identify the issue. You discuss the issue briefly without politicking. When the discussion gets redundant, you move to solve, which just creates a 7-day to-do or an action plan for somebody to go execute on what will solve that issue. So what happens with most leadership teams is you get stuck here in discussing. Even great leadership teams struggle with it. So what happens is you get yourself in a room, you start to talk about the issue number 1 that we're solving, and sometimes you need to dig a little deeper than what's written on your issues list, because that may not be the issue, it may be a symptom. And so you want to make sure you identify and agree to what you're solving. Then you're ready to discuss briefly and solve, creating a 7-day action item that will make that go away forever. So you pick your issue number 1, you IDS it, create a 7-day action plan, a to-do. Considering then issue number 1 is solved, you get through 2, 3 every week, and then you just reprioritize your next 3 as you get good at this, which you will. It's a discipline that works. I mentioned 300,000 sessions and 30,000 companies running on EOS. They all use IDS. Super powerful set of tools and a way to solve your issues in the business. Yeah.
Just want to confirm, that's for the leadership team, it's not company-wide, although it filters down into individual.
It starts with the leadership team, but as you cascade EOS and the teams below are introduced, you can run level 10 meetings, which I'll talk about in a second, at the departmental level, and they would IDS in those department meetings as well. Yep, great question. All right, so that gets us to 100% strong in the issues component. The process or process component is about systemizing your business, creating scalability, making your business easier to manage, making it more fun and more profitable. And so we document your core processes. So your 6 to 10 core processes, your handful in your business that truly makes your company run. So these are things like a people process. or an HR process, a marketing process, or a sales process, your operations processes for how you take care of your customers, your finance or accounting process, and your customer or client service process. So 6 to 10 things at the company level that make your business truly run. We want to create a process for each of those and then put that process in an online portal or in a notebook so everybody knows you're starting to systemize your business. So it starts with identifying your 6 to 10. Your 6 to 10 become the table of contents for your playbook. So there's an example of a high-level documented people process. So we take and document 20% of the major steps that get you 80% of the result. So 20%, take a high-level entrepreneurial approach, documenting 20% of the major steps that get you 80% of the way there. What we want to avoid in an entrepreneurial company is creating a 700-page SOP manual that nobody ever uses or looks at. So we want to make sure this is super simple so your people will follow your processes. You can do this for every one of your core processes. Give your playbook a name. Usually it's your company way of operating. Isidore Sharp, founder of Four Seasons, says, systemize the predictable so you can humanize the exceptional. And so we want to create processes so your people can follow those. And the second tool or discipline here is to get those followed by all. So once you've simplified your core processes, you've documented 20% of the major steps that get you 80% of the result, now you want to train your people to do it your way, the right and best way every time. So it starts with training. So everybody that touches even one step in the process needs to be trained, measured, and managed to do it your way, the right and best way every time. So you're measuring for compliance. You're measuring for results. LMA is an acronym that stands for Leadership Management Equals Accountability. So you're managing your people. You're holding them accountable to doing it your way. And then once a year, you want to update your core processes because things change. So you want to make sure that if you make any tweaks or changes, you retrain your people and make sure they understand the update. So that is our process component. Using these two tools and disciplines here will elevate the value of your business, I promise you. So doing this work, when you go to sell, companies that have systemized their businesses and have processes tend to create a higher EBITDA. So that's process. And last but not least is traction. So this is where we want to make stuff happen. This is about execution. It's about rocks and meeting pulse. Rocks are your 90-day priorities. What rocks do for you is they create a feel in your business that works like this. You set your priorities for the next 90 days. You go run like heck in the business and execute on those priorities. At the end of 90 days, you come up for air, you look back, you see how you did, you recheck your vision, making sure you're still aligned on your vision. Sometimes you're not. When you're aligned on your vision, you go set new priorities for the next 90 days forever. That's how you work towards achieving your vision and plan. So 3 to 7 at the company level, 3 to 7 for each individual leader, and then when you're ready to cascade EOS, 1 rock per employee usually is sufficient. The other tool here is our meeting pulse. So rocks create a 90-day world. Within the 90-day world, we teach you our level 10 meeting, and that weekly meeting allows you to work on your business for 90 minutes each week. Super important because we tend to get stuck in the business, rarely working on the business. So this helps you with that. So your meeting will meet 5 criteria for a great meeting. Starts on time, ends on time, happens same day and same time each week, and follows the level 10 meeting agenda. So I'm going to teach you that next. So that's our meeting pulse, and you have your level 10 meeting agenda in your workbook as well. 30,000 companies use this weekly meeting agenda. It is so powerful. It is the moment of truth for a leadership team. It's my favorite tool out of all of these tools because this is where the magic happens. This is where you solve your issues every week. This is where you advance your business every week within the 90-day world. So here's how it works. Let me just check time. Okay, we're good. So we start the meeting on time with good news. That's our segue. So psychologically, we're saying we want to shift our in the business thinking to working on the business for 90 minutes a week. So you share one piece of good news professionally and one piece of good news personally around the table so that everybody starts to connect. You check in on that scorecard. So you walk through each of your measurables determining whether or not they're on track each week. You check in on your rocks, your big priorities. Are they on track? Anything off track on your scorecard or your rocks is going to move down to your issues list. You check in on your people, your customers, your employees, your vendors. Who's happy with us? Do we have an issue? Somebody not happy with us? Anything you need to talk about drops down to your issues list. We insert a little to-do list that says, what did we agree to when we solved issues last week that we need to get done by this week? And you're going to declare whether those to-dos were done or not done. So it drives accountability. Then you've got, if the top portion of your meeting's going well, you're going to have 60 minutes to IDS, if not more, as you get really good at holding the conversation in the reporting only section of the meeting to issue solving. So you've got 60 minutes to solve your issues. When you've cleared your issues list or 5 minutes remain in the meeting, you must move to conclude because you've got to end on time. You don't want this meeting to collapse all your other meetings. So conclude is 3 things. It is recapping the new to-dos that came out of issue solving this week. It is determining, do you have a cascading message to share beyond the leadership team? Did we decide something today together that somebody's got to share outside of this room? If so, you create a to-do. Who's sharing it, what are they sharing, and when are they sharing it by? Then you rate your meeting, 1 to 10, 10 being best. A 10 meeting fits those 5 criteria and solves your issues. Thus the name level 10. Most clients that start this process are somewhere about a 4 that they rate themselves in meeting effectiveness. So if you use this agenda, you're going to move that up. And so you want to rate yourselves each week when you do this meeting, 1 to 10, 10 being best. How did we do working together? Did we follow the 5 criteria? And did we solve our issues? If you do this, you're going to move your business along and advance it every week. So that is the level 10 meeting. Those 2 tools and disciplines are our traction component. And those are the 12 tools that help you get to 80% strong or better in each of the 6 key components, everyone. So a couple of points here on resources. Just know I wanted to share EOS with you today. There are other operating systems out there. I don't research them. I don't talk about them. I don't care about them because I am passionate about the one that I love and know that works. So there are resources out there. You can download for free everything I've shared with you today on the EOS Worldwide website. You can also pick up a Traction book or any one of the other now 9 books in the Traction library. Looks like that. You can join EOS Worldwide's base camp for a fee, and or you could work with an EOS implementer like me. So an EOS implementer takes you on the implementation journey to cascading EOS and running your business on this system. And so what I would really hope is that if you've gotten value today, you commit to a next step so that you get what you want from your business, whether it has anything to do with EOS or not. Figure out how to get that thing that you wrote down, that one goal for next year. Figure that out and take a step. Might be using some of these tools. Hopefully these tools will help you get that thing that you want. If you want to learn more about what EOS implementation looks like, I'll be around afterwards. I offer complimentary 90-minute meetings with you and your leadership team to explore if EOS and EOS Journey is right for you and your company. So if you want to complimentary EOS 90-minute meeting with me or another local implementer when you go back home, I can help you set those up. So my contact info is on the back. Just let me know if you want to schedule one with me or somebody else. It will get you a 90-minute meeting complimentary to explore EOS. And that, everybody, is it. We're 1 minute behind. I just want to wish you your best EOS life. When you work on EOS, we want 5 things for you in this process. So the first is that you're doing what you love, with people you love, making a huge difference in the world, making a dent in the universe, and you're being compensated appropriately with time to pursue other passions. So that's my wish for you. I hope you found value in today and see that this time was not wasted for you and you are off and running to go get that thing that you want.